Hey everyone, it's Chris, and welcome back to Digital Confirmation. It's lesson 12, Leadership Schmeadership. Before we get going today, I'm going to need you to grab a few things. Remember to have your candle or lantern, flashlight, something that provides light and reminds you of the Holy Spirit being there with you as you learn and grow. Grab a pencil or a pen, and then a piece of paper. Scratch paper is fine. You're going to jot a few thoughts down as we work on this. You should also have your lesson binder, and we're up to Leadership Schmeadership. It's a purple sheet of paper. So I'm going to pause and give you a second to go get that, and then we're going to continue. Okay, here we go. Before we do an activity, I just want to give you a question. Ask someone in your family, and you can think about this too. When you hear the word leadership, or when I say, think of a leader, what are the qualities that that person has, or what are the qualities of leadership? So just take 60 seconds. What are the qualities of leadership, or what makes a leader? Okay, pause. Continue. We're going to come back to those thoughts here a little later. But what I have for you are 9 quotes about leadership. There's hundreds of quotes about leadership, right? We could spend all afternoon Googling famous quotes about leadership. But I'm going to show you 9. I want you to listen to them, read them, and there's 3 questions that I'm going to give you. So you might have to jump back and see the quotes again. That's just fine. Skip around as you need to. Because you're going to think about which one of these quotes seems most like your idea of leadership and why. Which quote seems least like your idea of leadership and why. And lastly, which quote seems to reflect the kind of leader Jesus is. So, most like your idea, least like your idea, and then most like Jesus. Okay? So here we go. 9 quotes. Again, pause as you need to. Go back and listen to them or read them again as you need to. All right? It is essential to employ, trust, and reward those whose perspective, ability, and judgment are radically different from yours. It is also rare, for it requires common humility, tolerance, and wisdom, said D. Hawk. Number 2. You don't lead by hitting people over the head. That's assault, not leadership, said former President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Number 3. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy, said Martin Luther King Jr. Number 4. 'Twasn't me, 'twas the Lord. I always told him, I trust you. I don't know where to go or what to do, but I expect you to lead me. And he always did, said Harriet Tubman. Be a yardstick of quality. Some people aren't used to an environment where excellence is expected, said Steve Jobs. Number 6. The safest place to be is within the will of God. Source unknown. Number 7. I think leadership is service, and there is power in that giving, to help people, to inspire, and motivate them to reach their fullest potential, said Denise Morrison. Number 8. A leader is interested in finding the best way, not his own way, said John Wooden. And number 9. I go around the room and ask people, what do you think? said Sheryl Sandberg. So there you go. 9 quotes about leadership, styles of leading. Go back, look at them again, pause as you need to. And I want you to think, this is where you can write it down. Number 1, which of those quotes is most like your style of leadership and why? So pause and do that. 30 seconds. Click, click. Number 2, which quote seems least like your style of leadership and why? Pause. 10 seconds. Play. And lastly, friends, number 3, of those quotes, which one seems to reflect the kind of leader that Jesus is and why? Find somebody to share your thoughts with and have a discussion and see where you agree, where you disagree. It's interesting, right? Because it's only 9 leadership quotes. Again, we could have pulled hundreds of leadership quotes. And I'm sure there's something that spoke to you that you felt like, yes, this is it. It gets me right here. That's leadership. And there probably was something you were like, no, that's not leadership. Or that's ridiculous. We had one kid Wednesday night who was like, I don't even understand this. This doesn't make any sense. So just in 9 quotes, a whole spectrum of leadership there, right? I think that's really fascinating. We're going to dive into this here in our lesson. The things that make up a leader, the qualities that make up a leader. And when you thought of that early on, I'm sure you had a list of things, and they could have been all sorts of qualities. Sometimes it's the person who, gets out in front and is the loudest or the strongest or the most whateverist. And then other times it's the person who just goes about their business and shows you with their actions or serves another person. And we see that as leadership, or the person behind the scenes getting things done and moving things forward. And it's important to remember, friends, that God made you with your own unique set of gifts, your own unique set of abilities and interests, and that blend that makes up you, that's leadership. You have leadership qualities, whatever it might be, whatever it might look like. And it's about how you use it to change the world. So we'll be exploring more of that here in our lesson. All right. So we're going to jump over to that. It's from your purple sheet, Leadership Schmeadership. Just to catch up, an overview of where we are in the story. We last left off, Moses had passed away. The Israelite people were just about to the promised land, and they picked a new leader, Joshua, to bring them there. There was the whole wild battle of Jericho and the horns, and the walls fell down and all that stuff. And then where we are now, they've arrived. The Israelite people are in the promised land, and they needed to figure out how they're going to run this thing. Like, who's going to be their leader? What's their community going to look like now? And so they're wrestling with God's law and what God wants for them in their lives. And they look around and they're trying to figure out, ways to be led or governed. And they kind of get this peer pressure from Samuel. And he's a judge. And then later we talk about Saul, who was the first king. And then later we get into King David. And the thing is, they all were leaders. They led the people in certain ways. But they all also had their failures. And we're going to talk about that. I think King David is the prime example of somebody who did incredible things for the faith, but also had incredible failures. Let's just jump into his story, okay? So King David, where we pick this up, he sees this woman taking a bath on the roof. And I'm paraphrasing here. You should really go read this in 2 Samuel. But he sees her on the roof bathing, and he desires her. He says, I want her. And he sleeps with her, and she becomes pregnant. And he's sort of like, well, now this is a situation because she's married and I'm the king, but I can fix this. And he finds out that her husband is in the military, and so he has orders given to send the husband to the front of the battle. What could go wrong? Well, the guy dead, and so King David's like, oh, shoot, that's too bad. Well, you're a woman, and you don't really have much value in our current society, and so I'll just take care of you. And it's really this despicable way of looking at her as a sexual object, as a piece of property, something to be manipulated, and ultimately have her husband taken from her and murdered. And so when you think about, great leaders of the faith who move things forward and did good things, then you kind of go, no, this wasn't so good. So this is where the interesting thing is that the Israelite people, they want leaders, and they're really struggling with who to choose. And God, time and time again, there's this cycle with God where the people, we've talked about this, right? They're following God, things are going well, and they kind of get it's like they get bored or whatever, and they disobey God. They get distracted, like, ooh, shiny. But like, what if we just go over here and do the bad things for a little while? When they disobey God, disaster happens, and then that's when they really cry out and they say, well, God, we need a leader. We need somebody to help us fix this. And they turn back to God, and God sends them another leader, another judge, another king, and on and on and on, and this cycle goes. The thing about this, friends, is it's not about the leader. It's still about us. We do this in our personal faith lives, where we're following God, and things are going well, and it's like we get bored or distracted, and we say, what if I just do a little bit of the bad thing? Or, ooh, shiny, and we go off on our own will, or we get pressured, or whatever it is, something happens, and we divert from the will of God. We disobey God. A disaster happens, big, small, everything in between, and we feel that weight, and we cry out to God, and we return to God, and God sends us somebody in our life, maybe a friend or family member who reminds us of God's love. We are forgiven, renewed, and restored. So, to come full circle on this, what are the qualities that you think show leadership? And which qualities do you have? That's where we end this lesson. Write down all the qualities you can of what makes a good leader, not somebody who ogles women and has their husbands killed so they can steal them. What are true qualities of good leadership? And what things do you have? Because I bet you have a great blend of leadership qualities, whether you're that person who talks a lot or is good at the thing, or whether you're the person who's more reserved or quieter behind the scenes, or you're the person who's like, I don't know yet. You're going to find out. God has given you qualities and abilities and interests to change the world. Thanks, friends. Please stay warm. It's very cold out. Be safe and be well. Take care of each other. I will see you again soon. God bless. Bye.